It is 30 years that Mark owned this land. He bought it to support the expansion of his previous business of cars repairing. However, his ultimate goal has probably always been something different.
If I'd ever really wanted a good business, I would have got a place a bit closer to the main road or to a town or something. But I think in the back of my mind, I always had an idea to do something else anyway. So when everything went wrong and the business finished, I started to imagine that we could turn the place into a sort of creative centre. And if I could only get some money, in, and we started renting out small parcels of the place, but with a very sort of strict code of only creative individuals or only people doing interesting things. My hope was that if enough people were interested, that it would finance and make it viable so that it was sustainable to continue doing this thing that was at the time was just in my imagination. And to some extent, quite a lot of it's still in my imagination, but I've always had trouble to write things down or show somebody what I'm intending. But in my mind, I can see it clearly. And as more people came, then it became more possible to follow this. It's everything. To me, is to do with recycling and not being wasteful. And for what it is, I actually recycle all the time. And nowadays I'm totally obsessed with it. I think there's so much stuff is being thrown away all the time that's perfectly good. That just can't be right. You have to think of it on a much bigger scale. And of course, the same applies to land and property and everything as well. So if there's some derelict land, a building site, not a building site, but an industrial estate that's not doing any good, or a disused scrapyard, a disused quarry or something. These are the places that you can really create in, because they're already there. You've already ruined that land. This land here has been ruined time and time and time again. Now we're making it better. My friend made that Rockaway car, and he said he was watching us on Facebook, and he said, "I just really love what you're doing, so I've made you a sign."
Cool, nice. And you had a big stone to put in.
And I had a big stone, yeah. Well, I've always been interested in housing, and I've always been interested in housing people that can't afford to live in standard housing. Or don't want to live in standard housing.
Yeah.
We actually choose to live the way we choose. We live. We're not necessarily forced into this situation. I actually prefer it. It's better for us. It's nice living around people who think, don't think you're crazy. Even if you are a little bit crazy, they've got a bit more room for you. But I can't help feeling that I'm much richer for sharing what I have with the people around me, because you can measure wealth how you like, but you feel much better off for being surrounded by people that you like, or who can put up with you and tolerate you. And it's not. You could go and buy yourself as many new cars as you want, but it's not the same as having someone to talk to. So nobody wants you to do this sort of thing. Nobody for some reason, it's like the worst possible thing in the world to want to live in a community and build a sort of inspiring community full of art. And everyone who comes here thinks it's fantastic. Everybody, this is amazing, this is brilliant, this is great. But the authorities would see this is dreadful. It hasn't necessarily been my experience though. This time, generally speaking, they're always against you, but I'm trying to do the right thing. We're trying to do good things, and there's nothing. We're not doing anything to try and upset anybody else. It's just if I went and asked for permission first, they would say no. But it's much easier for them to understand when they come and have a look now, that actually maybe this thing does have some value. Maybe we don't have to smash it to pieces. Maybe it's all right. Maybe it's a good thing. And my hope would be that you could show people that, something different can work, does work, doesn't necessarily need support from government funding or anything like that. We're perfectly able to look after ourselves if you just stay out of the way and let us crack on.